Well, brother, this is gonna be one hell of a pay-per-view, isn't it?
Well, the first thing you need to do is shut up before you, and if you want to hear anything I have to say.
No, brother.
Okay, I go for that typical freaking line, and I still fuck it up. By pausing in the middle of it.
That's because you can't do it the way I do it, you son of a bitch.
But anyway, D2 Word Life here with Disco Inferno's biggest fanboy, Riptidz.
Oh, fuck yourself with Disco Inferno bullshit, you son of a bitch.
Actually, most people would agree with that shit because apparently right now in the wrestling community, he's hated for some whatever reason. I really don't care.
That's because he keeps listening to women.
It's like, I really don't care. I never did any research on that myself. I just know that to be a fact. That's why I said it the way I did. About your name. But anyway, we are and I'm not a petty ass son of a bitch. Today we are reviewing the WCW 1996 Bash of the Beach event.
Oh no! Don't let him fool you guys. He is a petty son of a bitch.
I ain't no petty son of a bitch, and this event took place on July 7th, 1996.
He's petty because I stole his shit, so he wanted to steal mine.
Whatever you say. But like I said, this Bash Beach 96 took place on July 7th, 1996 here in Daytona Beach, Florida at the Ocean Center with an attendance of 8,300 people that were about to witness history that night that I never saw coming.
They never saw coming my ass.
And of course, the commentators for this event was Tony Schiavone, Bobby Heenan, Dusty Rhodes, and Mike Tenay, with the ring announcers being David Pinzer, and for the main event it was Michael Buffer, like usual, because WCW always had Michael Buffer be the announcer for the main event of every pay-per-view show.
I think Michael Buffer was a fucking WCW lifer.
Yeah.
He never even went to the WWE after WCW failed because he was constantly a WCW lifer. Mr. McMahon was going to offer him millions to come, but no.
Actually, Michael Buffer was a temporary ring announcer when it came to the Royal Rumble events, I believe in 2008 and 2009. That was about it. Because I remember watching the Royal Rumble where he was the announcer for it. But yeah, back then he was a WCW lifer. Right?
Yep.
And of course, they showed the opening video package, pretty much just, a music video package explaining the whole Hall and Nash takeover and hyping the main event 6-man. Right.
The Outsiders, Hall and Nash.
And of course, the commentator team or the announce team, whatever you want to call it, welcome to the show, talking about the event as a whole. About the main event here, basically. Right?
Yep.
Which brings us to the first match of this pay-per-view, which was Psychosis taking on Rey Mysterio, or, back then known as Rey Mysterio Jr. Modern fans would just know him as Rey Mysterio, the Hall of Famer.
Well, that's because he changed his moniker from Junior just to Rey Mysterio.
It's hard to believe that, but at this point, this was only Rey Mysterio's second month with WCW at the time, and he was only 21 years old at the point of this pay-per-view.
Yeah, but he already had a feud with Psychosis.
Yes.
Prior to this.
Yeah. And it's funny, we're talking about a Rey Mysterio match that happened in 1996, and when was Rey Mysterio's latest match? This past week on Raw, in that tag match that we saw.
A bullshit tag match.
So yeah, he's been going at this for well over 30 years at this point. As you know.
Yeah. Well, we already know that one guy's already been there over 30 fucking years, and he just retired a couple years ago.
So yeah, both men made their entrances to the ring. I actually was a fan of Rey Mysterio's Death March WCW entrance theme, by the way. That he had going.
Yeah, I wasn't that big of a fan of it.
It's like, yeah, but to me, I kind of liked it, but we all have our own taste when it comes to wrestling themes. I mean, hell, we all know you're a Billy and Chuck theme song fan, and I think that song's cringe.
Go fuck yourself.
No, thank you. That's your job.
Not even in your wildest dreams.
So yeah, mentioning all these big spots here, I'm gonna try to do here, because these two cruiserweights, these two cruiserweights freaking really kicked each other's asses here, with high flying ability. Right.
Well, it was high flyer versus high flyer.
And both of them exchanged arm bars early to kick things off. Like, back and forth, and avoided each other's moves at the start until Psychosis nailed a spin kick on Mysterio. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then shortly after that, we know Mysterio was on the outside of the ring, and then Psychosis hit a suicide dive over the top rope to the floor on the Mysterio. Which I thought that was another good big spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at one point, freaking Psychosis did perform a body slam on Mysterio, plus a guillotine leg drop off the top rope for a 2 count.
I was so surprised Psychosis could see with all that fucking hair in his face.
I know. I mean, Psychosis, he didn't have regular long hair. He had this long hair with curly hair. It looked like a perm or something.
He had the lion's mane haircut.
Yeah, basically, right?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I was surprised because even back when he was in Mexico, they had their feud, and he was doing that. So I'm like, God damn.
Of course, shortly afterwards, another big spot from this match was Rey Mysterio hitting a Hurricane Run onto Psychosis onto the floor. I thought that was a good spot. I'm like, oh damn, these guys were really going at it at this point. It's like, God damn, save some of the other good moments for the rest of the show. You know what I mean?
Well, Psychosis and Rey Mysterio hated each other.
Yep. And then later on in the ring, Mysterio actually freaking hit Psychosis with that springboard Hurricane Rana in the ring for a 2 count. Like it was 2 guys over. You really couldn't tell who had the advantage there. After that, Notch, what are some other spots that early on before the end that you can think of stood out to you in this match?
Psychosis doing that top rope fucking Hurricane Rana thing that he did.
Yeah. It was a Hurricane Rana.
And then Rey Mysterio also fucking, when he did the springboard Hurricane Rana, when he fucking almost took out his own leg.
Yes, that looked scary. Yes, that looked scary to see.
Well, he almost took out his Achilles tendon, is what I actually meant to say, because he literally hit the Achilles tendon on the back of his fucking foot. I'm like, well, he just kind of at that moment going, well, I just done fucked up.
Yeah, and another good spot. I don't know if it happened before what you said or after what you said, but yeah, there was another spot that stood out to me was Mysterio was down on the floor here, and then Psychosis went to the top rope and actually nailed that senton splash on Mysterio onto the floor.
Yeah.
That looked crazy as hell too, I mean, the cruiserweights here in WCW were the highlight of these times, including in their dying days. They were kind of the highlight. You know what I'm saying? These are reasons why we take high flying moves in today's wrestling for granted, but back then it was a rare thing to see. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah, and then Mysterio actually hit a cartwheel onto the shoulders of, and got onto the shoulders of Psychosis. Then hit a head scissors.
Mysterio, not Mysterio.
Mysterio, whatever. You know who I'm talking about.
Potato, tomato, patata.
Well, either way, at one point in the match, he freaking performed a cartwheel to get onto the shoulders of Psychosis, followed by a head scissors and a springboard drop kick on the apron.
Yeah.
Which I thought that actually looked pretty good, right?
Yep.
Mysterio then, with Psychosis on the top rope, or Psychosis was standing on the apron, Mysterio went up to the top and hit a Hurricane Rana to take down Psychosis to the floor afterwards. A lot of Hurricane Ranas in this match, but I'm like, I don't care. This match was entertaining in its own right. More than it should have been, you know?
Well, that's the only entertaining part of the show.
It's not the only entertaining. There's a big moment to come later.
Like I said, it starts good and it gradually becomes shit.
Yeah, and then Mysterio did hit a springboard moonsault to Psychosis back in the ring for a 2 count. Right?
Yeah.
Point out these 2 counts as well. Yeah, and then Mysterio then freaking did a twisting Acai moonsault off the middle rope onto Psychosis on the floor back on the outside, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was a good spot, and when Mysterio hit it, Mysterio's leg hit the guardrail as well. I'm like, dang!
Yeah, that's the moment I was literally saying that he literally fucking hit his Achilles tendon on the freaking barricade. And that's why I said at that moment, he was really thinking, fuck.
And we wonder why Rey Mysterio has a laundry list of injuries today.
Yes. He was lucky he didn't blow out his Achilles tendon.
And I'm thinking to myself, oh, no, maybe it's because of a career taking moves like that.
Well, look at Psychosis. He's still wrestling, and look how many injuries he's had.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that fucker's still walking.
Yeah, and then, but, you know, back in the ring after that spot that could have been worse than what it was. I mean, Mysterio's like he didn't break his leg or shatter his ankle, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, after that scary spot, they did go back into the ring. Both Mysterio and Psychosis did. Mysterio tried to do a springboard attack in the ring, but Psychosis caught him with the sit-out powerbomb for a 2 count, which that was a great counter. I give credit where it's due there. Right?
Honestly, I thought that was kind of a botched move right there because it didn't look like it connected, but it did.
It's like, yeah. Yeah, and then freaking, here's where the ending of the match came out after some great back and forth action. Psychosis set Rey Mysterio's stomach first into the top turnbuckle here. Psychosis then went up to the top rope. He set Rey Mysterio for a splash mountain, but Rey Mysterio turned into a Hurricane Rana off the top rope for the pin in the 3 count to win the match.
Yeah, he got kind of cocky with that, with his finishing move there.
So, and obviously the crowd was into it. They were on their feet, giving both men a standing ovation after the match. So,
well, honestly, if Psychosis would have hit his finisher, it would have been over for Ray.
Yeah. But I know I didn't go through the whole match. I just pointed out some good spots in this one, but your opinions on this opening matchup with Rey Mysterio getting the win here?
Fucking Psychosis and Rey Mysterio are two of not they are two of the greatest, if not the top 10 fucking greatest high flyers in all of fucking history.
These two were basically having a match 2025 style in 1996 with this one.
Yes.
I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Those two, if not, they are in the top 10 or the top 5 of the greatest high flyers in all of fucking wrestling history. It has to be.
Yeah.
Because those two were going fucking nuts.
I mean, those two were going like 90 miles an hour in that ring. The rest of the card couldn't even keep up with what they were doing.
Psychosis still wrestles every now and then, here and there. I haven't seen him in WWE lately, but I've seen him in some other promotions and everything for him to see him wrestling.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought this was a good way to open up the card. It got everyone excited and for the show, and then we go from the high of highs of that cruiserweight match. Because let's face it, WCW. If one thing WCW had going right, it was their cruiserweight division.
Yeah.
But after that, it just kind of went. But after that, it's like, okay, calm back down to regular like big men matches, right?
Yeah.
Which ain't nothing wrong with it. Just I would have this more like, if I was rebooking this whole card, I would have just had this one like in the middle or something like that, you know. But you know, I think it was a good way to open it.
I would have had it towards like going towards the main event.
Like you don't want to wear the fans out before the big main event, so I would probably have it like next to the semi-main on the card.
Yes.
Or something if they're going to have a match that good.
Yes.
So from there we go to backstage where Mean Gene Okerlund was interviewing Conan, who was a U.S. champion at the time. He would be defending that U.S. title against Ric Flair later on in the show. And Conan talked about the finish to the Mysterio match that we just saw, explaining what we just saw, and Conan noted that the Flair has people watching his back, but Conan is ready for him, and Conan said that he'd be leaving Bash at the Beach as U.S. champion. Yeah, sure. Yeah. So from then on there, we go to, oh boy. Now, I don't want to shit talk these guys, considering they're no longer with us, or at least, or anything like that, but the next match was that Carson City Silver Dollar match, or aka the Silver Dollar on a Pole match. Silver Dollars on a Pole match.
The Silver Dollars on a Pole match, yes.
Which it was Big Bubba Rogers, aka the Big Boss Man, with Jimmy Hart taking on John Tenta, aka Earthquake.
Yes.
And I'm just thinking, okay, I know the backstory of this was...
Well, aka Shark from the...
Dungeon of Doom.
Dungeon of Doom.
Yeah, John Tenta was a member of the Dungeon of Doom. That was a faction that Big Bubba was in at this time.
It was Taskmaster, Kevin Sullivan,
the Shark.
Trent, the Shark, yes.
Big Bubba was also involved in it at some point.
Yeah.
And you know...
And the Giant.
Yeah, and the backstory was John Cena left the Dungeon of Doom, had this feud with Big Bubba here, which resulted in John Tenta half of his hair getting cut off, which is why he looked stupid. That haircut that he had, but that was the story they were going with. And pretty much John Cena was looking for revenge on Big Bubba here.
Yes.
So, yeah. So, not really a whole lot of big spots here, but this match was kind of slow-paced. It all started off with... Tenta in control, but Bubba came back with some punches. Just cutting down the momentum of Tenta here. And the announcers are all... But the whole time the announcers are all distracting me, saying, how is Tenta going to climb this pole? My thing is, like, how is Bubba going to climb this pole? You know this was just going to be a joke, right?
Well, the whole thing is that they were also saying, oh, Trent could just fucking bend the pole.
Yep. It's like, yeah, but Big Bubba took advantage. Big Bubba got the opportunity, or got the momentum with an uppercut. And at one time, freaking Big Bubba, or Boss Man, or whatever you want to call him, tried to go for the freaking pole to get the silver dollars, which were hanging in a sock, by the way. But Tenta freaking slammed Rogers off the top rope. And Tenta tried to climb up, but Rogers Big Bubba Rogers, whatever, came back with a suplex off the top.
There was no way those two fat asses were going to climb up a skinny ass pole. Let's just get that fucking straight right now.
Yep. Yeah, another freaking spot was Big Bubba was trying to climb was going for the pole, but freaking got crotched on the top rope. Right? And
that was kind of funny as hell because fucking Trey's like, okay, I'm not gonna do this. Goes down, starts beating his ass, and then he gets his ass kicked.
Yeah.
And he's like, he gets choked out.
Yeah, he got choked out with a leather belt. Or Tinta did. Freaking Bubba got choked out with Tinta's leather belt here later on after that. And it's
Tinta he got taken out by the belt first, so Big Bubba or the boss man, whatever you want to call him, I don't give a shit.
Same person.
He went up to literally try to climb the damn pole and got crotched.
Yep.
So Trent was dick to his Bubba's.
Yep. Of course, later on, after freaking Tinta got choked out with a belt, Boss Man, Big Bubba, whatever you want to call it, tried to get a little smart by using some athletic tape to take Tinta's arm to the freaking ring ropes, middle rope, so he couldn't freaking go anywhere. That strategy would have worked.
But he was dumb enough not to do the other hand.
Mm-hmm.
And then he pulls out surgical scissors. Another dumbass move.
So yeah, and then... But yeah, he took the scissors, tried to cut the hair of Tinta while he's in a row, but Tinta nailed a low blow, so I guess you can say Tinta was a dick to Bubba's boss man's.
Yet again.
And then Tinta took the scissors and cut himself free. And then
went to cut the
and then he went to cut the strap of the bowl to free it up so he can try to grab the sack of silver dollars here, right?
Yeah.
But Big Bubba came back. But Big Bubba stopped that with a double leg takedown spine buster on the freaking Tinta here. And and then Big Bubba was like, "Hey, Jimmy," because Jimmy Hart was his manager. He goes, "Since none of our fat asses can climb this pole, you climb the pole and grab the freaking silver dollars up. You're skinny enough to do it."
He's like, "Get your skinny ass up there and grab me those silver dollars."
And then Tinta attacked Bubba from behind while Jimmy Hart was going for the freaking dollars, or the sack of dollars, right?
So Jimmy Hart
got the bag of freaking dollars. Tinta was just like, "Yeah, Jimmy, you can do it." And everyone was like cheering. That was
just seeing Jimmy Hart freaking shimmy up a metal pole to grab a sock full of silver dollars, and then him fireman pole fucking going down the damn thing, and then he's like,
yeah, but as soon as Jimmy Hart got down and realized who was standing there, he gave the oh shit face.
Yeah, he's like, well.
So Tinta grabbed the freaking silver dollars from Jimmy Hart's hands, shoved Jimmy Hart. He almost fell off the top turnbuckle. If he wasn't holding on to that pole, he would have. And Tinta nailed Roger.
If he didn't freaking stripper pole swing on the pole.
Yes. Yeah, and then Tinta took the freaking bag of silver dollars, hit freaking Big Bubba in the face with it, and got the 3 count for the win. And then afterwards, freaking Tinta dumped all those silver dollars all over Big Bubba's unconscious body here.
And gave him the Roman silver coins in the eyes for carrying the boatman.
Yep. Oh boy, so I really hate to shit on this match, but what is your thoughts on this silver dollars on a pole match?
Who in their right mind thought that 2 fat ass men that were literally only a few pounds difference could climb a fucking metal pole?
I think this was only implied just so they can get Jimmy Hart to climb the pole. I mean, yes,
So
that
they
is
wanted-
funny. That's the
So
most
they wanted
entertaining
Jimmy
part.
on a pole.
I mean, to be honest, that's the most entertaining part of this match. But other than that, I really didn't enjoy it that much.
No, like I said, who in their right mind thought, well, it was Eric Bischoff, so...
I mean, Eric Bischoff's the one who booked this crap. This was before even though it's a pole match, this was before the Russo era. That didn't happen till late 99 and 2000. This is 96 we're talking about. So this was Eric Bischoff booking this crap.
Yeah, so I'm like, wait, what am I talking about? It was Eric Bischoff. He thought two big men could fucking climb a pole.
So, yep.
And I questioned, did Eric Bischoff want to see two big men try to stripper pole it?
Well, Eric Bischoff was trying to be different compared to what the WWE or WWF was doing back then. So I guess you can kind of say that. I guess you can kind of say that. Right?
It didn't work, though, did it? And it became even worse with Vince Russo.
Well, some gimmick matches stuck, or some ideas stuck. Others didn't. This one just kind of didn't do it for me.
Yeah, like the Bagwell on a pole mat.
Oh, God, I don't ever want to review that, but I know you're going to make me. And notably, I know you're arguing an event that happened in 2000, and let's face it, most, if not all, pay-per-views from WCW in the year 2000 were crap.
There were some that were pretty decent enough.
But anyway, after the match, pole match, we go backstage where, well, obviously the announcers were talking about the main event again, but after that we go backstage where Mean Gene Okerlund were interviewing Sting, Savage, and Luger. And all three men had freaking obviously Sting's face paint on, signifying that they were in a war.
Savage had his freaking war paint on.
Yep. And Savage said they were going to take out the Outsiders. Luger said they were prepared. And Sting talked about how the unknown gives him goosebumps. But he followed that up. Or chills, goosebumps.
Gives him a tingle down his spine.
Yep. But all in all, they all said they were pumped and ready to go here, regardless who that third man is. And yes, the hype of the main event is like, who is this third man? We don't know who it is. Who is joining Hall and Nash, the Outsiders here?
Brother.
Yeah. We all know that later, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. And the next match is your favorite match of the night. And that was Hacksaw Jim Duggan taking on DDP in a taped fist match.
The taped fist match was a good match. It's pretty good.
But I'm just like, why a taped fist match? Why is that even a gimmick match here?
Because it was. Shit.
And apparently this was also for DDP's freaking Battle Ball ring, which he won at Slamboree a couple months prior. Or Lord of the Ring as well.
Yeah, I was taking a shower. Holy shit, what about the gator?
Yeah, and then...
You do not need that much for that small piece.
Yeah, and then at one time, freaking... It's like Duggan started things out when he said page the outside of the ring with a shoulder tackle here. Oh yeah, and I bet you love this portion of the match when DDP taped freaking Duggan's boots together on the ring pole.
Yeah, no, he was trying to crotch him.
Yeah, and then DDP did tape Duggan's boots together outside on the ring post.
It wasn't his boots, it was more of his legs.
Legs, boots, whatever. But the referee freaking took the tape off so Duggan can continue the match up here.
Well, the ref said, fuck this shit.
Yeah, but then after Duggan got back in the ring, It's like he nailed Page with some fists, leading to freaking a bunch of over the top selling from Page when he got out to the floor. Right, seeing him out to the floor, right?
Yeah.
Clothesline over the top rope. Of course, then Duggan then whipped Page into the guardrail and then nailed a body slam on the outside. I thought that was, for this match, I thought that was pretty intense.
Yeah.
Of course, back in the ring, Duggan nailed Page with a back suplex. Of course, Page did fight back and got an armbar on Duggan. But then, freaking Duggan a little later after that, freaking slam Page face first off the turnbuckles all the way down to the floor, the ring mat, right?
Yep.
And then nailed Page with a clothesline, putting him back over the rope, right? Onto the floor. Of course, the finish of this one came when Duggan tried to go back into the ring. Page kicked the rope, so freaking Page was a dick to Jim's Duggan, and then...
No, he didn't kick, he kicked his hand.
Well, he kicked the rope, crotching him as well. Duggan as well. But
yeah, it was more that he kicked his hand, and fucking Duggan was getting in the ring, and then he freaking diamond cuttered.
Yeah, Page hit the diamond cutter to get the pinfall win.
And this is all after his wife, Kimberly Page, freaking became the booty girl.
So the winner of this match was Diamond Dallas Page. Your thoughts on the match, bell to bell? It was a short match, so that's kind of why I kind of recited most of what happened here.
Honestly, they could have just put it for a Nitro match.
Yep. Of course, after the match, Duggan got revenge for that loss when he knocked out Page with the taped fist.
Yeah.
And that's it. And so Duggan got his heat back, and the crowd went home happy with that one. So it wasn't their best match. It wasn't the best Diamond Dallas Page match, but to me, I felt it was, even though it was a short match, I felt it was better than that silver dollars on a pole match that happened previously.
I don't know whose water bill you paid, but somebody got a free water bill because of you.
Oh boy. So yep.
Continue.
But yeah, I'll continue. It's like backstage, Kevin Sullivan and the Giant, a.k.a. The Big Show, a.k.a. Paul White, who was the WCW champion at the time, were being interviewed by Mean Gene Okerlund, of course. And Sullivan stated that he wasn't the weak link of the team. Well,
wink. He wasn't the wink.
Yep, and then the Giants, and even the Giant agreed that Sullivan wasn't the weak link, and that the Giant said that he'd be world heavyweight champion and that he's the world heavyweight champion and always will be. And of course, following that back at ringside, Lee Marshall interviewed the Four Horsemen team, which was Arn Anderson and Chris Benoit. And Anderson talked about how the Outsiders are going to have a rough road against Sting, Luger, and Savage in the main event. And Anderson also talked about how they're going to chop down the Giant. And Benoit said he's going to finish off the Dungeon of Doom in that tag match.
The Dungeon of Doom?
I said Doom. Jeez.
You said Doom!
We can debate this all we want, Mr. Grouch Boy.
You said Dungeon of Drew, which it was actually, that would have actually been a better name for because it was doomed to begin with.
What are you saying, Mister 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11,
Look who's talking. I can't get his fucking shit straight.
Oh boy. But anyway, we go on to the next match of this card. We still got more to talk about here. It was the four-man dog collar match. It was the Public Enemy, which was Rock and Johnny Grudge, against the Nasty Boys, which were Brian Knobbs and Jerry Sags here.
Yep.
Yeah, and all four men were had dog collars on. I think freaking Rock and Jerry Sags had the dog collar around their necks, and Grunge and Knobbs had the dog collars attached to them. Right?
Yes. It was a very weird way to do a dog collar match.
Yep. And of course, this one was the most hard-hitting match of the night. It was under tornado rules. Obviously, no disqualifications here. Right?
Yep.
And all four men, after they were all chained up, brawl. It's like they went on the floor and just started beating each other up around ringside and up the entrance ramp. And of course, obviously, we had those dreaded WCW split screens. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, and then Sags crushed Rock on the guardrail and Knobbs and Grunge fought like in the entrance setup where the sand by the entrance setup here. By the way, I like the Bash of the Beach freaking like entrance way. WCW always had great entrance stages for each event.
Yeah, with the crab.
Yeah, this one was obviously beach themed. Obviously. It's like Knobbs even freaking it's like and then Knobbs even attacked one of his opponents with an inflatable rubber shark. Like, what the hell is that gonna do? Right?
Sharked him.
He sharked him. Because when I think of hardcore wrestling, I think of inflatables being used as weapons. We should have more of that in the modern day. Can you imagine Bailey using one of those inflatable tube men as a weapon? That's pretty much what the equivalent of that was.
Just get smacked by a inflatable flailing arm man.
Now imagine having to sell that like it hurt.
It's the great inflatable war of 2025.
Of course, after the whole inflatable shark freaking attack, freaking Sags actually hit Rock with a surfboard as well, which I believe a surfboard would do more damage than a inflatable rubber shark.
Well, yeah, because he literally fucking like, the hell? And then he's like, well, fuck this. Use the surfboard.
Yeah, and then freaking Grunge got hit in the head with a chair by Knobbs here. And then Grudge freaking hit a bulldog under the chair and one of the bells. I don't really care about who he hit with. It's like Rock then climbed up the lifeguard stand here, and jumped onto Sags. I thought that was a good spot.
Yeah.
And of course, more surfboard abuse again as Knobbs beat the shit out of Grunge with it. Right.
They broke the surfboard.
Yeah, and then in the middle of the aisleway, which is where they were fighting, they actually had the gall to set up a table. Yeah, then Knobbs hit, and this one kind of looks scary because Sags nailed the pile driver on Rock on the floor, something we don't see. And a regular pile driver we don't see in wrestling these days because we know what they could lead to.
Yes.
Especially out there on the concrete floor. A lot could go wrong there, but thank God it didn't. Am I right?
Yeah, just ask McFoley.
Yeah, and then freaking Grunge got hit in the head with a trash can. Oh yeah, and then Sags leaned on the table, so Rock jumped off the jumped off the guardrail and put Sags through. So that table broke. Keep that in mind when I say that table broke. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, then after freaking, after the table spot, freaking Knobs covered grunge, but I got a 2 count here. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, and then they were back.
Didn't the inflatable shark come in one more time to get hit with?
Maybe, I don't remember. Probably, right? But all I know is I'm going to skip forward to when they were in the ring. Friggin', they
Because I remember just seeing a flying fucking shark. I'm like, hey?
But yeah, those 4 men fought back in the ring where another table was set up. And this was the scary part here.
It didn't break.
Exactly. I mean, Sags was put on the table back in the ring. So Rock went up to the ring, but Sags rolled off and Sags yanked the chain. So Rock freaking flew off the top rope, landed on the table, but it did not break.
He somersaulted. He basically did what Jeff Hardy does.
Yeah. And I'm just
But
like,
the table did not, it didn't even crack.
And I looked at it, I'm like, ow, fuck. Someone forgot to gimmick this table.
I'm like, well, he's fucked.
Of course, Sags put Rock on the table again. And then Sags tried to dive him through the table, and the table didn't break again.
Yes.
So that's 2 times the table didn't break, and both times looked nasty. Right?
Yeah.
And I think that was supposed to be finished with that table breaking, but it didn't break.
It cracked finally.
Yeah, at the very end. Yeah, it cracked, but that was about it. Of course, the ending of the match came when Knobs hung freaking grunge on the rope by the dog chain, by dog collar. And then Sags him threw Rock into the... Yeah, and then freaking... There was a double team. Rock got clotheslined by the friggin' dang chain to get the... And then Sags and dropped an elbow on a Rock for the 3 count.
Yep.
Honestly, this was the most hard-hitting match tonight. Of course, afterwards, freaking, Rock managed to put Jerry Sags through the table onto the outside. You know, the one that didn't break twice. By the way, it was just... I've seen more violent matches, but, you know, this is WCW. I guess it was all right for what it was. Your thoughts on this dog collar match that the Nez Boys won here?
It was okay.
I never once thought I would see an inflatable object be used as a weapon. Until that shark came into play.
Twice.
It was all right. Not the greatest, but it was all right.
Yeah.
So yeah, we go backstage once again. Following that, Mean Joe Nuggelin was backstage because, of course, he was. He was the main interviewer at this point. Legendary, right?
Yeah.
Backstage, standing by the police officers, and I guess there was a little locker room right there by where the police officers were, but where the outsiders or Hall and Nash were.
He was trying to get interviewed to see who the third man was.
Yeah, he was trying to get an interview, but, you know, that wasn't going to happen. So, yeah. And Okerlund kept talking about how we were part of history. Oh, boy, was he right on that one, am I right?
Yeah, but he was right for the wrong reason, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then we get to... Yeah, and then we get to our first of only 2 championship matches on this card, and that was... For the Cruiserweight Championship, it was champion Dean Malenko defending against your boy, Disco Inferno.
Nope.
Oh, we know how much you love Disco Inferno's orange attire when it came out to the ring.
No, that's you. Just like how you loved it with Michael Cole.
Nah. Of course, Disco Inferno did cut a promo before the match saying that pretty much saying that after he went, that he said pretty much everyone knows it's like he knows that everyone, including yourself, came to see Disco Inferno dance.
Nope.
And he said after he wins the Cruiserweight title, everyone is welcome to his disco party. And then you started dancing 70s style in your room.
Nope.
I bet you did.
No. That was you. You put on some lame disco 70s music and started to dance your lame little 70s dance.
No, that's you.
Nope, that's you. You were dancing splish splash, I had a bath, getting it.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, Dean Malenko came out. No nonsensical, serious like guy, the man of 1,000 holds, the Iceman, they said, called him back then.
The man with the black heart.
Yeah, but for the most part, Dean Malenko was in control early. He barely gave Disco any time to fight back, right?
You know, he went from one move to another, to another, to another, to another hold.
Yeah, I mean, Disco had little to no offense throughout the first half of this match.
He wasn't going to let Disco Inferno win.
Yep. I mean, it all started when Malenko tossed Disco to the outside, into the barricade at ringside, and then Malenko then freaking hit a clothesline on a leg lariat for a 2 count. Right?
Yeah.
And this was Malenko in his prime. This is the Dean Malenko that I go back and think of when I think of his career. I don't think of his WWE run, which amounted to nothing, really. Right? Besides a light heavyweight championship reign, but they wasn't as good as this one, this cruiserweight title reign, in my opinion.
They were transitioning from light heavyweights to more of heavyweights and cruiserweights. He never really had a chance to go for any of the other titles.
Yep. Yeah.
Plus, he was getting older, and they were just seeing that his moves, when he would do it, weren't being more effective like they were when he first showed up.
Of course, Malenko did hit a brain buster on Inferno for the 2 count.
Yeah, that looked nasty as shit.
Yep. How'd that not end the match? We don't know, but legitimately he could have. Of course, Malenko then grounded freaking Disco with a leg grapevine, just weakening him up for a submission hold. Right?
Yeah.
Malenko followed that up with a back suplex and then a leg hold submission, which Malenko then which turned into the STF submission hold, huh? I wonder who could have had that in their heyday as a golden boy somewhere else.
The man you can't see.
Exactly. Of course, Malenko got a roll up on freaking Disco for a 2 count, right?
Yeah.
And Disco tried to get some offense in, but including an uppercut on Malenko, but you know, Malenko.
He knows hold it like I do in 2K, doesn't he?
Quit stealing my own joke.
I knew you were going to come out with it, you stupid son of a bitch.
That was going to be later, you ass. Now you ruined the spot that I was going to use it on, god damn it.
I'm going to make sure you only get one.
I never said my one. You technically stole it, so I still get the one, you ass. But like I said, Disco's offense, momentum didn't last long because Dean Malenko was right back on him.
He didn't even mount any offense. He got 1 punch.
Yeah, but then later on.
That was it.
But, at some point, Disco did perform the stun gun on Malenko.
1 punch and a stun gun. That was it.
There was more. Disco Inferno didn't nail freaking Molina with a front face Russian leg sweep. Right?
Which he knows sold.
But Malenko got back and got the momentum and applied another armbar to keep Disco grounded on the mat. Shortly after that.
Like I said, Disco Inferno had no offense. He had one punch, a stun gun, and that was it.
And it seemed like almost early on, every offensive move that Disco could think of got reversed, countered. His momentum didn't last very long. Maybe I think Disco Malenko, or I think Disco Inferno here had about maybe 5 minutes of offense early on, if that. But
3 minutes.
Maybe 3 to 5 minutes, but that was about it. I mean, they
Like I
made
said,
freaking Malenko look strong here.
Dean Malenko was a man on a mission. He went full frontal, full force, not even letting his foot off the gas. He just went in, went out, one. That's it.
Yeah, then Malenko did use the rope to an assist with a leg drop on the Disco here.
Yeah.
Of course, Disco tried to battle back with elbow strikes to the head. And to his credit, he did block an attack off the ropes and then nailed a backbreaker for a 1 count as Malenko got his foot on the rope.
Okay, he had a backbreaker there.
Or a neck breaker, yes. And Disco also nailed a back body drop for a 2 count. And then hit him.
Maybe he had 4 moves as an offense. That's about it.
And then he also hit a swinging neck breaker. Plus he was dancing around, and then he was like, "Oh shit, gotta pin him." Nope, 2 count. Even the announcer, Bobby, was like, "What are you doing? Pay attention."
Okay, he had 5 moves. That was it.
Of course, Malenko
and
did fight
dancing
back.
like you in your underwear.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah.
What the hell? Malenko then tried to fight back and actually tried to his finisher submission, which was the Texas Cloverleaf, but Disco caught him with a cradle for a 2 count. You'd think Malenko's been there before. He knows how to kick out of that.
Yeah.
But Disco didn't manage to hit a clothesline for his credit. Did it win the match? No, he only got a 2 count. Right?
Would Disco ever win a match? No.
Of course, Malenko then, shortly after that, Malenko nailed freaking Disco for a clothesline. And then Disco then held onto the ropes to avoid a drop kick that Malenko tried, but failed, right on.
Yeah.
Of course, whatever move Disco had in mind, Malenko kicked him and then kicked a knee to the gut. Put his knee into the gut of Disco when he was doing whatever move he's trying, blocking whatever move he's trying. Followed by a double underhook powerbomb, and Malenko was then able to lock in the Texas Cloverleaf, which led to Disco Inferno tapping out.
Like a little bitch.
So thus, the winner by submission and still Cruiserweight champion was Dean Malenko here.
And Disco Inferno still, little bitch.
So your thoughts on this match?
Boring!
It was nothing but like a glorified squash is what this was.
Honestly, I fell asleep.
I think any Disco Inferno match makes you fall asleep, doesn't it?
Yes.
Me, it's like, it was average. It seemed like something we could have seen on Nitro or something, you know?
Yeah.
But then we didn't even do any backstage segment. Instead, we just go right into the next match, which was Joe Gomez versus Steve McMichael with Deborah McMichael
Steve
on the outside.
Mongo McMichaels.
Yep. Steve Mongo McMichael versus Joe Gomez here. And of course, Steve McMichael was a member of the Four Horsemen. Obviously, he's better known for his football career at this time. He was basically just getting his wrestling career started, considering, I believe they even mentioned that this was only his 2nd match since
With
he
Deborah
started wrestling.
McMichael.
Yeah.
And that poodle.
Yes. We all know you were jealous of the poodle. You being a dog guy.
No, we all knew that you were jealous of Deborah McMichaels holding the poodle. You wanted to be the poodle.
of course, McMichael, he was kind of a rookie still learning his way around the ring. I believe this was his first one-on-one match, his second match overall. Yeah, and then McMichael nailed forearms to Gomez early on in the match, but, Gomez came back on offense with a cross-body block. Right.
Yeah.
It's like McMichael But then McMichael went back on offense on him again.
I was about to say you said McNichol.
McMichael, McFucker. I don't know.
McDumbass?
No, that's JD. That's JD. We're not talking about the Judgment Day in the current stage, the current era. Of course, McMichael didn't nailing low blow mule kick that the referee didn't see, so he was a dick to Joe Gomez's here. A little bit later in the match. Okay, this was McMichael's third match, but either way, it wasn't that good.
Yeah.
Of course, McMichael locked in the sleeper hold, but Gomez freaking reversed it with a jawbreaker. Crowd wasn't too into this. I mean, at one point, freaking McMichael did nail a freaking neck breaker on Gomez for a 2 count. Right. Which Gomez countered into an inside cradle for a 2 count of his own. Right. And I bet you were laughing when McMichael missed that elbow drop and Gomez then came back with a back body drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I guess there was some kind of botch or miscommunication because McMichael hit the ropes and there wasn't really good ring awareness here. You can tell that. It was botched, whatever it was they were planning. Right.
Yeah.
Of course, Gomez did manage to nail 2 drop kicks after delivering three chops to McMichael here.
Yeah.
And I guess they tried to go back and forth with a pinfall sequence, but it did not work.
Nope.
So this crappy match ended when McMichaels caught freaking Gomez off the ropes and nailed him with a tombstone that looked botched, and I'm surprised he didn't break Gomez's neck. Sorry, but there's only one master of the tombstone pile driver. It wasn't McMichael.
Yeah, the one and only Undertaker.
Who obviously wasn't working for WCW, he was working for WWE or WF at that time. Obviously. What'd you think of this one, bell to bell? McMichael got the win, but this isn't a dig on him or a rib on him. I didn't really care much for this match.
Yeah, it was shit.
And I know, and I'm not trying to freaking rip on his matches or anything. I know as of right now, he is dealing with a life-threatening illness right now. Steve McMichael is. But, this match back then just didn't really do it for me. You know what I'm saying?
Well, this was WCW trying to freaking, celebrate that they got a freaking football star.
And it's like, they would get a much better former football star about a year later, but we're not we're not talking about the Goldberg era right now. You know what I'm saying?
No, they didn't get him in 96.
Goldberg didn't make his debut until over a year later in 97. But yeah, it was what it was. I wasn't really a big fan of it, but could this match been on Nitro? Yeah. Did it need to be on a pay-per-view? Not necessarily. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much the point I'm getting at.
There was 3 matches that did not need to be on here. Was the fucking
the tape fist match.
The tape fist match.
The McMichael and Gomez match.
The McMichael and Gomez match, and the
in Disco Inferno, Dean Malenko match. Even though Dean Malenko was a hard hitter, that match could have been on Nitro, but it was still good to see.
They could have had him go up against someone other than Disco Inferno.
Yeah, I know. I thought that too, but it was still good to see a match of Dean Malenko's when he was in his prime, even though it was nothing more than a glorified squash.
It is.
I mean, still better than any of his matches in WWE at this point. That would come later on, you know what I'm saying?
No, he had some banger matches.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that one wasn't one of them in his career, in Malenko's career. That's just my opinion. I've seen better Dean Malenko matches in WCW. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, after the match, we go backstage where Okerlund was backstage, this time interviewing Ric Flair a lot, and Ric Flair was accompanied by and Miss Elizabeth and woman next to him. Woman, as we know, is Nancy Benoit. Or back then, woman was known as Nancy Sullivan. I think this was before she divorced Kevin Sullivan in real life. We'll talk about that.
So it was Nancy Sullivan at that point. Because she hadn't met Chris Benoit yet.
Well, she hadn't married Chris Benoit yet. She obviously knew of him. That we'll talk about a little later.
What I'm saying is that they didn't meet to date at this point. They knew of each other because of his whole rivalry with Kevin Sullivan as the taskmaster.
Obviously.
But other than that, they really had nothing.
At this point. Beyond, business. Right?
Yes.
Of course, backstage, Ric Flair talked about how he's going to be the man with the United States Championship. Elizabeth talked about how she had a lot of money, and at this point in storyline, Elizabeth took all of Macho Man Randy Savage's money in the divorce, storyline-wise. And woman mentioned how they were going to have a big party afterwards. And then Flair went on to talk trash about the Macho Man and how Elizabeth will never get her back. Will never get back home with him. And all that stuff, Yeah,
which we all know was not true.
And of course, woman was sitting there flirting with Mean Gene to distract him. Yeah, and Flair ended it talking about how he's going to take home the United States Championship, promoting, pretty much hyping what we were about to see. And that was Conan defending the United States Championship against the Nature Boy Ric Flair with Miss Elizabeth and woman.
Yeah. Just call her Nancy, goddammit.
Woman, Nancy, fine. We'll just call her Nancy because that was a real name.
Yes.
Oh boy.
And that was kind of degrading that they just called her, your name's not what your name is, you're a woman. I'm like, what?
It's like, yeah, but it is what it is. That was her professional wrestling name, was woman. I don't think she minded. She got paid doing what she did out there as a manager for Kelvin Sullivan for so long. Before settling down in her personal life, well, yeah, and that's about as further I'm going to go with it. Anyway.
Before shit happened.
Yeah, before what happened. We don't need to go into detail. Lord knows we can save all that deed for another video.
Like I said, shit happened.
Yeah, anyway. But anyway, let's talk about this Flair Conan match. It's like, yeah, you can ask me what the hell Conan was wearing, but this was early in his WCW run. We already discussed that during the Uncensored 96 review. When you're like, what in the hell was Conan wearing? Because I used to Conan wearing all the street clothes, which he would have by the following year, but this was still like his early WCW run here where he was wearing his colorful attire. Right? And of course,
he's not more streetwear. He's just some of his matches he wore some questionable outfits.
Yeah, and of course, Flair and Conan shook hands to start the match, which was kind of unusual to see because of Flair's heel status at this point.
Well, this was before Conan turned heel.
Yeah. Conan actually hit a drop kick and slapped Flair's face. In the face. Yep. And of course, there was a bunch of slow pace. Yeah, and these two were like going at a slow pace early on in the match, testing each other out here. Conan even hit a shoulder tackle on Flair, knocking him down.
Yep.
Yeah, and then Conan was then shortly afterwards. Here's a highlight. Conan was able to get the surfboard submission in on Flair, right? Which looked painful in its own right, but Flair got out of it. But I think Conan broke it up, and Conan actually hit a press slam a couple of times.
Yeah.
And then freaking he nailed a clothesline to Flair that sent both guys outside of the floor. Out on the outside. So yeah, freaking Flair was on the outside, and then Conan dove onto Ric Flair from the ring onto the floor, right?
Yeah.
And Elizabeth almost got hit. I think Elizabeth did get hit with that too, along with Flair. Which he probably got back up, right, and just walked away. Song it like you do on 2K. That was my one per video.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's no fun after you beat me to it, goddammit. You motherfucker. Right?
Now I know what to do, so do it before you fucking do it.
But the point is, you don't know at what point that I'll fucking do it.
So I can just take the piss out of it.
If it makes sense with the content of what we're talking about, but if it don't make context, I'd be like, huh? That don't even make sense. Dude went down. Right? Or whatever.
Oh, it will for the next pay-per-view that we're going to be reviewing.
Of course, when Conan got to the top rope to do whatever diving maneuver on Flair, a woman actually got involved and shook the ropes, and Conan fell down off the rope.
He got crotched.
Yeah, he got crotched, whatever, and then freaking yeah, and that's when the interference started happening. Of course,
The
Flair did
interference
hit
started happening way before that, when fucking Miss Elizabeth freaking did it first, and then when Conan was going up to hit one big move on Flair outside the ring, or he was inside the ring. I forget which one it was.
Like Flair was in the ring. It was Nancy that shook the ropes.
Yeah, so this was the part where he was in the ring. She freaking jumps up there and shakes the ropes so he doesn't hit his one big move.
Yeah, and then shortly afterwards, Flair did hit that running knee drop for a 2 count, but shortly after that, here's the part that really kind of made me be like, well, there's points down on this match. Flair got the referee distracted, so Nancy came to the ring, and she deliberately kicked Conan down south. So I guess you can say that Nancy was a dick to Conan's Max Moons.
Yes.
By the way, thank you if you got that reference. And for those who don't know it, it's because Conan did compete in WWE at one time before this as the Max Moon character.
Yeah. And then he would just debut as his normal self.
Yep. So yeah, and
But that was pre WCW Conan.
Yep. Referee distracted. So yeah, and then shortly afterwards, Elizabeth distracted the referees, and Flair tossed freaking Conan out to the floor, and Nancy once again gouged the eyes more of Conan. More interference. And I'm just like, oh crap. And we complain about the NWO guys fucking interfering in a lot of matches later on. This was going on way before that.
Yeah.
Of course.
Well, that's why Flair always had women around him, was so they back in the day was because they would run interference for him so he could win his matches.
Yeah, then Flair delivered a
Not taking away from his freaking talent.
Yeah. Then shortly afterwards, Flair delivered a delayed suplex for a 2 count. And then Flair locked on the most devastating hold in history, the chin lock.
Your chin lock.
You knew it was coming right when you seen that spot in the match.
Yes.
Of course, Conan got out of it with chops and punches in the corner, leading to Flair to just flop face first like a fish like he always did. Right? You know, typical Flair spot.
It was Flair fish.
Flair fish. Flair fishy, 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 fishy.
Flair fishy, 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 fishy. Flair fishy, 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 fishy.
And then Flair, Flair did his freaking upside down corner bump after getting whipped into the corner by freaking Conan, another Flair signature.
Yeah.
And then Conan then hit a drop kick off the middle ropes shortly afterwards.
Yeah.
Of course, a little later on, freaking Flair was back in control. Tried to apply the figure four leg lock on the Conan, but Conan reversed into a small package for a 2 count. And of course, Conan then applied the figure four leg lock of his own to Flair, which I don't get this. Freaking Flair at first made it to the freaking rope with one hand on the rope, but the referee, Nick Patrick, I believe it was, kicked the rope out of Flair's hand here. And Flair was like, oh, fuck this, and put both his hand and his arm on the ropes to break it up. Like,
yeah, well, Nick Patrick didn't want Flair to win that match, and he even went on to say that because people have interviewed him about that match. Because him and Flair were feuding over money, I think.
Yeah.
Or something like that, because they had a bet or something. I'm not 100% sure on it. Yeah. I got to look up more into it. So you take this with a grain of salt at this point. This is what I've heard from people that I've heard it from is that Rick and Nick Patrick had a bet on something, and Nick Patrick won that bet, and Flair would not pay up.
Yep. Of course, shortly after that, freaking Conan did got a 2 count on Flair after hitting a suplex on him, but so there you go. Shortly afterwards, Flair got in control with a back elbow, and Flair went up to the top rope, which at this point, let's just face it, Flair going up to the top rope is like Superman freaking encountering kryptonite, because it never works, because freaking goddamn Conan slammed him off the top rope. No points for guessing that was going to happen.
All right? Yeah, because Flair wasn't known for high flying.
I think in all the Ric Flair matches I've seen, I think Flair only nailed a top rope move just once in his career. Every other time it was like flopping off, throwing off the rope.
He hit it 3 times.
Yeah, and then freaking Conan, Conan hit a clothesline for a 2 count on Flair. And of course, a little later on, after another move, Conan went for another pinfall, but Elizabeth distracted the referee. And then Flair hit an atomic drop on Conan. A woman was on the apron, and she hit Conan in the head with a high heel shoe.
Yes. The infamous shoe incident.
Yeah, but that was enough to knock Conan down. Flair covered him and put his feet on the ropes for a 3 count.
For a leverage pin.
And a 3 count to win the United States Championship. I'm sorry, your thoughts on this match, I'm sorry, but for me, it was alright, but the interference spots, even though it was a Flair match, Flair's a heel, the interference spots from the 2 women on the outside really brought it down for me.
I kind of figured that they were going to do that.
Even though I knew it was coming, I literally seen this not that long ago. Before today's review, obviously, to me, just judging it, reviewing it, and judging it fairly, the interference kind of put it down for me. Marked it down for me in points here.
Yeah.
But yeah, your thoughts on this match?
Was it their best match? No. Did they have better? Yes.
But yeah, Ric Flair won the U.S. title. He celebrated his win and everything else. But you know, backstage, once again, we run into Mean Gene Okerlund, who was all over the place on this show. He was outside that room where he claimed the Hall of Nash were, right? And he said he claimed that he claimed that he heard a third man in there. But he couldn't hear who it was. He said the third man sounded familiar, but it was muffled. And I'm just like, who could he be talking about that was associated with Mean Gene over the years?
Brother.
Yeah. And of course he Ian told freaking Okerlund, why don't you just bribe the cops? And he looked like he was about to do something. And goes, wait a minute, I ain't gonna stoop to your level. Ian, that was a funny part to this.
Yeah, because Brian, Bobby the Brain Heenan was fucking known as the Weasel.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, after that little segment, we go back to ringside where we get our semi-main match, and it was a tag match. It was WCW champion The Giant and Kevin Sullivan, known as the Taskmaster. And they had Jimmy Hart in their corner against the Four Horsemen's Arn Anderson and Chris Benoit.
Yep.
Of course, Benoit and Anderson started to make their way out to the ring, but the Giant and Sullivan Giant and Taskmaster Sullivan, whatever you want to call them, didn't even wait for an entrance. They just attacked him from behind.
Well, they said they were going to.
Yep. And then Steve McMichael showed up and attacked freaking Giant behind with the briefcase that McMichael was always carrying at this point. Of course, the Giant went to the back, chasing McMichael out of the ringside area.
Yeah.
So yeah, the bell rang, and temporarily it was Anderson and Benoit freaking double teaming Sullivan here. Sullivan had no partner at this point, but that was only brief because the Giant came back to the ring, got on the ring apron. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, and then back outside the ring, freaking Benoit and Sullivan were fighting outside where Benoit sent Sullivan into the guardrail. Of course, then Sullivan pulled freaking Anderson out of the ring and then sent Anderson in the guardrail following that. Right?
Yeah.
Short time later, Anderson went for a DDT, but Giant nailed him with a clothesline, and Sullivan covered Anderson for a 2 count. Right?
Yeah.
Of course, Benoit then freaking got back in, started working over Sullivan here. It was mostly a 2-on-1 beatdown, despite Giant being there to break up the pinfalls early on. Giant got into the ring, caught Benoit and tossed Benoit into Anderson, showing off his strength when he got the tag in. Right?
Yeah.
Sullivan then gouged Benoit's eyes to slow him down, so Sullivan was trying to get the momentum here.
Yeah.
Of course, Benoit then did a slingshot, with Sullivan sending Anderson into Benoit on the top rope. Right? Giant of course, later on, Giant got the tag in, who was in the ring battling with the other legal man, which was Arn Anderson at this point. Benoit and Sullivan just started fighting all over the place. Going to the announce desk area and by the entrance ramp, they were just fighting each other everywhere. Not even paying attention to what was going on in the ring at this point, right? Then Giant then nailed a suplex on Anderson in the ring. Yeah, and then Sullivan slammed Benoit on the set where the announcers were. And while this was going on, Giant ended up choke slamming Anderson and got the pinfall win.
Yep.
So the winners of the match were the Giant and Kevin Sullivan here. So your thoughts on this match from bell to bell before we talk about what happened after the match?
Man, it was a glorified beatdown.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, I can see why they had this match shortened up, but it was all right for what it was. But after the match, of course, we got to talk about this angle. After the match, Benoit jumped on Sullivan by the beach set that was near the entrance ramp right there, right? Of course, once they got back in the ring, Benoit drops Sullivan with a belly-to-back suplex off the top rope. And Benoit was just on the freaking attack of Sullivan this whole time. And this is the part that makes me uncomfortable. Nancy came back into the ring and begged, saying, Chris, stop. I'm like, oh, crap. Then I just thought to myself some messed up thoughts that I really don't need to think about. And of course, the Giant came back into the ring and they all left. And everyone just left the ringside area at this point.
Uh-huh.
Oh, God. Oh, boy. So, yeah, I thought the match was okay. The post-match beatdown, I know they were doing it as to continue the story between Sullivan and Benoit here. And they would go on to have some wild matches later on in the months that following this.
Yeah.
I believe. So after this we go to our main event. It's like we go to our main event and they just replayed they did the video package just showing the hostile takeover bit that we seen at the start of the show. This match coming about after Hall and Nash's defection from WWF to WCW, coming in as the outsiders here. Right?
Yeah.
And at one time at the Great American Bash pay-per-view that happened before this one, Nash and Hall took out Eric Bischoff with Nash powerbombed Bischoff off the stage. Right?
Yeah.
Which led to freaking Hall and Nash in a mystery partner that they said they had against Sting, Lex Luger, and Randy Savage.
What?
And this was built up. Who was the third man? Who could be joining the outsiders in this team, in this match? Right?
Yep.
Of course, Michael Buffer, that's when Michael Buffer came out and did his Are You Ready routine. Let's get ready to rumble at the end after the crowd went wild. Right?
Yep.
Of course, the outsiders came out. Of course, Buffer didn't say their names, but everyone's what we know. It was Scott Hall and Kevin Nash coming out, but he goes, oh yeah, I heard there was 3 men, but I can only see 2. All right? So they were milking this third man angle for as long as they possibly can. Right? Even going in the match. Once Hall and Nash got out to the ring, Jane Oglen made his way out to the ring. And he asked Hall and Nash, wondering where their third guy was, and Hall said that the third guy is there and that he's ready. And Nash confirmed that that he's there. Well, nothing they have. Like they pretty much Nash said that they can handle it without the third man at this point.
He said he told him to wait in the back in case something happened.
Yeah, I mean they're milking this whole third man angle all the way out to the start of the match, bro. Like they knew everyone. That's when everyone should have known something big was going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and then obviously Sting, Luger, and Randy Savage came out together to Sting's entrance theme. Right?
Yep.
Wearing the face paint, right?
Yeah.
So, which set up our main event, the Hostile Takeover match, with Sting, Luger, and Savage taking on Hall, Nash, and a mystery partner. That didn't come out until the end of the match, but we'll get there when we get there. Right?
Well, the outsiders are Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. Even said that Randy Savage would know the guy.
So, yeah.
Which was odd for him not to put 2 and 2 together.
Yep. So the match started off slow and hot. Luger was a legal man here, but Luger got into a little scrap with Nash in the corner. So Nash put him in a headlock in the corner. Sting came out with a stinger splash, and, well, Luger was taken out of the match early on because of that.
Knocked the fuck out.
Because, yeah, Luger supposedly had his head crushed between Nash and the turnbuckle. Right?
Yes.
So, yeah, Luger was taken out via stretcher. Right? So, yeah, So, yeah, back in the ring, it was now 2-on-2 with Luger out of the equation instead of 2-on-3. Yeah, then then Hall nailed Sting with a slap, so Sting responded with a comeback and an atomic drop and a bulldog to Hall here. Nash got the tag in and dropped Savage face first into the top rope. Then Savage came back with a clothesline on Nash for Hall for 2 count, right?
Yeah.
Of course, Nash got the tag in, and he nailed a freaking elbow and a forearm smash to Savage, right?
Yep.
A little later on, Sting did hit a drop kick. Nash powered out of a sunset flip and dropped Sting to the mat, right?
Yep.
And of course, at this point, shortly after that, Hall got the tag in, hit a fall-away slam on Sting for a 2 count, right?
When it let Sting tag in Macho Man at all.
Yeah, they were like, at this point, it was Nash and Hall working over Sting, right?
Yep.
The Nash hit the big boot to the face. Of course, Sting did try to freaking get some offense back with a drop kick and a knee to knock down freaking Nash. Of course, Hall got in there and he punched Savage, and Sting freaking did the inside cradle, but that was to no avail. Right?
Yep.
Then Hall freaking put Sting in the abdominal stretch here. Then Nash got the tag in and did the same maneuver too. The same abdominal stretch too to Sting. Right? They were just buying time at this point. Of course, Hall got back in there and nailed a clothesline on Sting for another 2 count. And at this point, Savage kept trying to get in the ring, but, referee didn't allow it. He wasn't in there. He wasn't a legal man. Right?
Yep.
Because, Savage went in there as bad. Of course, Nash got another near fall on a Sting after a sidewalk slam. Of course, at this point, Sting tried to fight back. Right?
Yeah.
And he actually staggered Nash with punches in. And Sting leaped over Nash to tag in Savage, finally getting the hot tag, right?
Yep.
And the crowd was into it at this point. They knew Savage was going to go nuts on these two, beat the crap out of them, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, Savage went out. It's like Savage knocked Hall out of the ring, went up to the top rope, hit a double axe handle on Hall here. And then he tossed Hall into Kevin Nash, and then Savage then pounded on Nash with fists. Right, and then Savage went back up to the top, hit another double axe handle off the top on the Hall, this time out on the floor. Right?
Yep.
And of course, back in the ring, Savage hit another freaking double axe handle on the Hall, right?
Yep.
Like, Savage was going ape shit at this point.
Savage was going savage.
Savage was going savage at this point. And the referee went to go...
to the Slim Jim.
And of course, the referee went to go check on Scott Hall. But with the referee distracted, Nash then was able to hit the upper... Nash was a dick to Randy Savage's with an uppercut low blow.
Yeah.
And all 4 guys were down. And that's when it happened. Next thing we know, we get a shot at the entrance ramp. That's where Hulk Hogan was coming out to the ring. He got into the ring. Everyone was cheering Hulk Hogan at this point. He was a big, goody two-shoes, good guy for the last decade at this point.
Yeah.
It's like, he ripped his shirt off, and it looked like freaking he was gonna go after Hall and Nash on the outside, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and everyone was all cheering. They were applauding. They wanted Hogan to beat the hell out of these 2 outsiders. But then Hogan looked back. Hogan got up on the turnbuckle, was leaning on the turnbuckle, looked back, and he goes, And Hogan thought to himself, fuck it, and then dropped a leg drop on Savage, signifying the heel turn.
Yep.
And then he dropped another leg drop, and then Hall and Nash got back into the ring, and both of them high-fived Hogan, revealing that Hogan was the third man. Right.
After Hogan did a running leg drop, and Scott Hall freaking counted the 3.
And even Shivani was like, yeah, Hogan tossed the referee out. Shivani was like, everyone should come out of the locker room to kick Hogan's ass right now.
Yes.
Of course, yeah, Hogan then tossed the referee out of the ring. Hogan freaking hit another leg drop on Savage. And then Hall counted the 3 count, but we know that's not official. This match was ruled as a no contest. Right?
Yep.
And then Savage got out of the ring. Okay, but before we go into the little speech that happened afterwards, since that was the official ending, your thoughts on this 6-man tag?
Oh, shite.
Yeah. I mean, it was good for what it was. I mean, the match wasn't important, but it was more like the angle afterwards that I'm about talking about, which is why this match is important. Right?
That's what I said. It started good and then gradually became shite.
And honestly, this was because honestly, after the match, Hall and Nash were doing Hulk Hogan like ear salutes to the crowd, mocking Hogan's freaking stuff. Hogan raising the arms of both Hall and Nash here, even though freaking they didn't even win the match. Right?
Yep.
And then the fans started tossing match content into the ring. I mean, garbage into the ring.
They started throwing that in the ring.
Yeah. Yeah, and then... Yeah,
and
then I
continued
guess...
to throw two into the ring.
Yeah, and then Savage was getting helped out of the ring and everything else. Gene Okerlund came into the ring to do an interview with Hulk Hogan. Right?
Yeah.
And then, like, Okerlund was like, Hulk Hogan, excuse me, what in the world are you thinking? And hints to how I started this freaking video. What did Hogan say? He goes, Mean Gene, the first thing you need to do is tell these people to shut up if you want to hear what I got to say.
Yeah.
Which is why I started this video out the way I did. Right?
And he's going on saying, I made the other company millions and millions and billions of dollars, and then all of a sudden Hulk Hogan's name became bigger than that other company, which he was
referencing
firing shots at Mr. McMahon.
Yes, because that big organization up north, where all 3 of these men came at that point, was WWF at that point, now known as WWE. Yeah, and everyone was just disappointed at that. And he pretty much said that this group is the new world order of wrestling, brother. Basically. I'm just paraphrasing here. I'm not saying the whole damn freaking speech.
So him saying, oh, then the billionaire Ted Turner promised me movie deals. And he's all like, oh, I'm sick and tired of the Hollywood movie deals. Now this whole group is the new world order to wrestling.
Yeah, and basically after all that, Gene Okerlund points out the garbage in the ring and goes, look at all this crap in the ring. That's in the future for you if you want to hang around these 2 men. And Hogan was like, in the ultimate betrayal, signifying this heel turn, Hogan was like, as far as I'm concerned, all this crap in this ring represents all these fans out here. Right?
Yep. Well, all these people.
Yep.
Is what he said.
And he goes, for 2 years, he did everything for the charities, for the kids, and the reception he got out there was crap, which, let's face it, in WCW, he kept getting booed months prior to this, despite his good guy stick. And he goes, as far as I'm concerned, you fans can stick it, brother. Oh, that was a jab, right?
Yes.
And basically, the rest of his speech, he ended with, saying they're going to take over. It was a new world organization or order here. And the match ended with Tony Schiavone saying, Hulk Hogan, you can go to hell.
Yep.
Basically paraphrasing what happened here. Yeah, and the show ended with the picture of Hogan in the ring raising the arms of Hall and Nash. Like what I have here for this podcast.
Uh-huh.
So thus, just paraphrasing everything Hogan said here, this still goes down in history in my mind as the biggest heel turn in pro wrestling history that has yet to be topped. According to what I heard, shortly after this heel turn, WCW kept getting complaints from kids crying about it, people throwing away or burning their Hulk Hogan merchandise because their big Ultimate Hero stabbed everyone in the back. That bad. Like, it was that bad. People were rioting the streets at this point, basically.
Yeah.
Pretty much throwing shit on Hogan's name. In real life. Kind of like what they do now, but for different reasons. But, your thoughts on this whole heel turn angle that's gone down in history that's still talked about to this day? Which is why this event is so important and still talked about.
Yeah.
This angle right here made a mediocre pay-per-view to one that's remembered. For this reason, it was the formation of the NWO stable.
Yes, but it's rememberable shit, though.
So yeah, all in all, that's a review of, so yeah, now that we reviewed the whole show. Now we get to our favorite portion of this show, this podcast, like I always say, and that's our, rating system for each match. So Rey Mysterio Jr. defeating Psychosis, I give that one 5 out of 5.
The only 5 out of 5 I'm giving on this damn fucking show.
That's your own opinion. John Tenta defeating Big Bubba in that silver dollars on a pole match, I only gave that one maybe. I was generous and gave that one 2 3/4 out of 5, only because of Jimmy Hart's involvement, which made it comical. Yeah, that one 3.5.
Yep.
And you enjoyed a little bit more of me. That taped fist match between DDP and Jim Duggan that DDP won, I gave that one 3 out of 5.
1.
I gave it 3 because it felt average to me. That dog collar match where the Nasty Boys defeated Public Enemy, I only gave it 4 out of 5 because it was the most violent match of the night. I mean, you got to work with what you're given.
2.5.
I enjoyed it more than you did, apparently. Dean Malenko defeating Disco Inferno to retain the Cruiserweight Championship. I give that one 3. 3 out of 5.
2.
Yep. Steve McMichael defeating Joe Gomez.
1.
I tend to agree. That was a 1 out of 5. Ric Flair defeating Conan to win the United States Championship. I gave that one 3 out of 5.
3.5.
Yep. The Giant and Taskmaster defeating Arn Anderson and Chris Benoit, that tag match. I gave that one 3.5 out of 5.
I give it a solid 4.
Yep. And the Hostile Takeover match that ended with a no contest between Hall and Nash taking on Savage, Sting, and Luger and then Hulk Hogan was revealed as a third man. And the match went to no contest, obviously. I gave... the match itself, if I was just judging this bell to bell, I would give it about either, like you said, 2.5 or a 3. But as a whole package with promo included, I would have to give it 5 out of 5. That's the way I have to look at this match.
2.5. I'm not doing it by the promo. I'm doing it by the match itself.
Yeah, I know. But me, I'm just looking at this with promo included, and it's the only time I'll ever include the promo because you can't have the match without the promo. Otherwise, the match will be shit, like you said. So, oh no, my final grade with my scoring system like this, I would normally grade this show as like a C. But because of how important it was in pro wrestling history, the main event alone, the post promo alone, I'd have to give this show an A.
A low C.
Yeah. And if there was only one match that you want to watch that I would recommend from this,
The Rey Mysterio and Psychosis.
the Rey Mysterio Psychosis match, but for those who want to study how the NWO got formed, the main event. But basically, you don't need to watch any of the other matches on this show. You wouldn't really miss much, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was our thoughts. That was our review and our thoughts on WCW Bash of the Beach 1996. So,
Now,
what are we
it is
doing?
My pick.
So what are we doing next week on the review?
For next week, since it's Valentine's Day,
Oh God.
we are doing Saint Valentine's Massacre.
Oh God, we're doing St. Valentine's Day Massacre from 1999.
Yes.
Which, ironically, that was the debut of the Giant in WCW, aka now the Big Show. And the main event was Steve Austin and Mr. McMahon in that cage match.
The first encounter.
Ugh. Whew, so. By the way, you gave me this idea, buddy. Since the show we're going to be reviewing next week will be St. Valentine's Day Massacre, instead of Wednesday next week, guess what day I'm going to be uploading it? Friday the 14th. On Valentine's Day.
We won't be doing the review until Friday the 13th, until Thursday the 13th.
Of next week. I'm going to be uploading that video on freaking 14th on Valentine's Day.
Yes, because that's when you normally upload it anyways.
Yep. So yeah, look forward to that next week. And and we will talk to you all later. Peace.
We all know why that show is infamous.
Oh boy. Fuck. Anyway, like I said, we'll talk about that next week. There's a lot of stuff on that show why it's infamous or famous and well known. Sure beats the 1999 Royal Rumble, but we'll get to that next week. So until then, we'll catch y'all later. Peace.
Deuces.